Hi, welcome back to my craft space. I'm going to continue my beginner junk journal series, and I am going to talk about sewing signatures today, and kind of walk you through some of the basic supplies that I use. So when you have your signatures and you're ready to sew them together, some of the basic things that you'll want to remember is you want to make sure you have your pages all facing the right direction. You don't want to have any pages upside down. And then you want to have them organized. Like if there's some are shorter, you want to make sure, do you want it at the bottom half of the page or the top half of the page? And you want to make sure at least two of your holes will go through the page so that it will stay in there. So you get all the pages organized the way you want. And then I have made a couple templates, and I highly recommend this. So for this template here, this is a little bit shorter one, and I use it primarily for my little golden books. But all it really is a guide to help you place your holes in your signature, and also help you line up your holes to your spine if you are going to have the signatures sewed directly into your spine, and you'll have the thread exposed on this side. So it helps you make sure that the holes are the same width on your spine as they are on the signature. Otherwise, they won't line up correctly. So the templates, I just kind of eyeball it. I don't usually measure. I just kind of figure out what works best for me. And so for this template, this is one where I'll do two signatures in a book. But really, you can kind of really just make a template with just a single hole, and you can just kind of move it over. So it's your choice, but this is one I have here, and this is what I use. I use it for my 8.5 tall by 6 7/8 this width, this width of the journal. And then the spine is an inch spine, so I have two signatures in there. And so some of the tools that I use, so I'll either use this awl, this really sharp awl, and I will poke into, this is just an old book, and I'll poke into the book so I don't damage my table. Or I also have this big bite that I use, and I use this smaller, it's the 1/8 size on the big bite. You can use a hole punch. The tricky part though is getting into the middle part of the book with a hole punch. You can usually easily get to the top and the bottom, but the middle one is kind of hard to get to. The needles, I just went and picked up, I got some of these needles. I don't know if it was Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Joann's, and they were the tapestry. And I like to find one with a pretty decent eye, so I can get, I usually use embroidery thread, but there's other people like to use wax thread. I mean, there's twine, there's different things you can use. The embroidery thread I find is pretty strong, and I like the color choices that I have. But the eye, it's big enough for that to fit through it pretty easily. Let's see, so I have the needle, the awl or the punch, my little template. I'm gonna get this out of the way. The other thing that you'll want is you want to make sure you keep these pages still, because you don't want to punch the holes and then have the pages loose, because then the holes get misaligned. So you can either use like some of these big clips like this. You can use big clips like this to hold the pages. I find these big paper clips actually work pretty well. And the other thing you want to make sure is you want to make sure that you really flatten down your pages with, and I like using a bone folder, because you want to make sure you have a really good flattened crease there, like that. And you want to do that for every single page, and that just helps make sure that you have a better crease and spine in your signature. Sorry, my cat's trying to sneak in the room. So the paper clips, so you get the pages where you want them, and you really want to push them down so that they're all down in there really well. You can see that here. You can see how well they're pushed down in there. And I want to make sure I line this bottom one back up there. And just line them up. And then get the paper clip on there. And I'll do 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Get these note cards out of the way. I hope everyone's having a good day. My day's been pretty good. Can't complain. The weather was really nice today. I got a little walk in, which is nice. Well, sorry you all, I'm having issues. So if you're having issues with getting your pages lined up, don't sweat it. Just take your time and try again. Since my shorter pages are at the bottom, let's start with the bottom there. Right. And then I will take my template then, and I use a little pencil, and another little tip is you can mark the letter T at the top, so you can kind of keep track of what's the top and what's the bottom, because mine aren't evenly spaced out here, and that way you make sure when you do the holes on your signature and do them on your spine that they will line up. So I just take the little template here and line it up down into the crease and just mark the pencil. And color in the little hole. And I'm off a little bit on my crease. I apologize. I didn't want to get my head in the way. But you can see there's the 3 little spots. So then just, I find using the awl really simple and easy, especially if you have a really sharp one. So I just open up the book and I put the awl right there on the pencil mark, and I just push it all the way through. And you can see it pokes right through right there. And then the next one. And the last one. So you're done with your awl for the moment. Okay. So you got the holes all through. The holes are showing. And so what this particular one is going into my traveler's kind of notebook journal here. So I'm just sliding it in through the elastic. So I'm actually not going to be sewing it into the spine. This will just slide in here like this. So I'll sew that, and then I'll be able to put it in there. But what I want to show you after I sew it is kind of how you would sew it into the spine. Or like I like to do is I like to use Tyvek and material so I can have a hidden spine. So what I do is I'll take a piece of Tyvek, and that's what I did in this particular journal here, is I take a piece of Tyvek and I have it to be cut about the width of the spine. It can be a little bit bigger, but it doesn't need to be. And then you take your fabric and you glue your fabric to the Tyvek. And so you just glue that down there. And then once that glue is dried, so I'd trim this off to right about here. And once the glue is dried, then I take my template and I do, I find the middle. I'll fold it in half and find the middle. And then I do my little holes. And then I'd punch my holes in here. And then what I would do is I would sew this onto this piece of fabric and the Tyvek. And you want the fabric showing face up, and then you just sew it right in there. And then once that's all sewed in there, then you just take this part and you glue it into your book. So I'll link down. I have some videos where I've actually done that. So I'll link those down below. Now let me show you how to sew this signature. So I take about the height of the signature about 3 times. It's okay to have extra. And then put it through the eye of the needle. And you just have a little bit hanging over there, a little bit extra. And I start in the middle, and I go through to the middle, and I pull this through, and I leave a little bit of a tail inside, just not a whole lot, about that much. And then you can go to the bottom or the top, either one, it doesn't matter. I go down to the bottom, and get your needle through the holes. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. I got off camera. And then pull that through. And you want to pull it through tight, but hold on to this piece. So you want that to be taut back there. And then you go up to the top one and pull it through. And again, you hold on to this middle piece and pull that tight, so it's tight on the inside. And then you go back through the middle. Sometimes the pages cannot cooperate a little bit, but the paper clips help with that. There we go. Of course, when you try to do this on camera, it never goes smoothly. There we go. And what you want is you want your first string to be on one side of this string, and then the other one that you're pulling through with your needle on the other side. So you have these 2 strings here, and you want to pull them tight. So you have it pulled tight there. All right. And then you can cut off some of this excess. And then the tip I like is I like to take the paper clips off at this point. And you want to make sure this string is tight, and you want to make sure these are tight. And then you want to make sure you have one string on one side and the other string on the other side. And then you just do a double knot. And then you do another knot. And then I can even do a third one just for fun. Like that. And then you can either leave this dangle down, or you can trim it and make it shorter. So there you go. So that shows you how I now have all these pages sewn together. So now I can slide this back into my elastic band here. And now I have my 2 signatures in this journal. So that's the quick and easy on how to just sew a signature together. The tools and the tips that I use to do the sewing. So I hope you found this helpful, and please hit that like button. And if you have any questions or anything, please leave a comment down below, and I'll be happy to answer them.